Welcome to Publishing Power with First Editing. Today we're excited to have Carla King, who is the founder of the Self-Publishing Bootcamp, and she is here to help us find out about how to launch your book to 5-star reviews. And we are so glad to have you. Welcome, Carla.
Hey, thank you, Joella. Thanks for inviting me to talk to all the authors that are hopefully using your editing services here. And we'll definitely talk about that when we go through how to launch your book to 5-star reviews.
Oh yeah, they're out there and they're listening, and we're so excited to start 2019 and have all of the authorities coming in and just showing us how to actually, what to do beyond the editing. You know, this is where we get all the questions of what do I do now and how do I make it great, and this is where people like yourself come in and really make things happen. So I'm very excited. Carla's going to show us a slide presentation here and give us a short webinar on how to launch our book.
Just to start, I wanted to have this open blank book and talk a little bit about foundation and the freedom to publish the way you want, whether that's to self-publish or to find an agent and a traditional publishing deal, or make a hybrid deal, right, with a distributor or some kind of hybrid publishing service that vets your work. And the way to do that is to set a really solid foundation. Now, I'm going to use an obvious analogy, which is a house. When you hurry through and don't use the right materials for the foundation of your home, you're going to get a crumbling house, right? And you can see that this one has totally failed. And this one is completely gorgeous, and hopefully will stay that way for a very long time. And the thing is that when you're building a house, everybody sees there's a construction site and you've got a lot of people and a lot of equipment and there's a lot of work going on, but you do not see what they're doing. It just seems like, what are they doing? The house isn't being built. And it's exactly like the publishing journey, because you've written a book, you're doing a lot of work for possibly years, if you're like me, making sure that the book is wanted by the market, i.e. your readers, that you've got editing, that you've done all the marketing, and then all of a sudden, boom, you've got the book, and everybody's like, wow, she suddenly has a book, woohoo! But it doesn't really work that way. So what I'd like to do is go through the steps that will give you the freedom to publish with this solid foundation. Okay, and there's a bunch of stuff to this. First of all, figuring out really what your category your book is. This is figuring out what Amazon categories your book belongs in, what virtual shelf, right? And you may have heard of bisect codes. Amazon uses their own categories, and the whole wide world other than Amazon uses bisect codes. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the importance of beta readers, super fans, and your marketing street team. Also, how to cultivate. Yeah, I can never have enough of those. How to cultivate relationships with bloggers and influencers, and I'll introduce you to the term micro-influencer. Those are really fun. We're going to talk about not just your website for your author platform, but a high converting website, and explain to you what high converting means, because there's a big difference between just having a website and a high converting website. We'll go over the power of pre-orders and essential editing and design, things that you should really, really pay for.
Yeah.
And ISBNs, which I consider your insurance policy, right?
Yeah. Keeps it yours. Make sure you own it.
Stay free. Exactly. And that's a mistake that a lot of authors make right up front. We're going to start with that first thing. See the Amazon warehouse with all of these books. And these books appear in categories on the virtual shelves of Amazon.com book section, which, is just one of their products, right?
Right.
So you see all these, what are these, 20, 30, 40, 50 major categories, this whole huge intimidating list. A lot of people don't know an amazing number, possibly half of the authors that I work with on a daily basis really don't know where their book belongs.
No.
And because they haven't done their market research and competitive analysis, they haven't poked around and, you know, looked at books like theirs, right? And to see what the covers look like, to see what keywords they're using, and all that metadata. Now that's a scary word, metadata, but it only means the words you use to describe your book and the keywords that people might key in when they're searching on Amazon to find a book, you know. And it's awesome because Amazon surpassed Google as a search engine about a year and a half ago as the place for people to look when they have their credit card out right there on the table next to their computer.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's super cool because that's where they go and that's where your book should be. So let's look a little bit about, let's take a look at how you do that. Okay. So have you ever you've used Amazon Advanced Search, right? Have you ever seen this screen?
Yeah.
You do. Okay.
Definitely.
So a lot of people and authors don't use this. They just go to the Amazon search box and search for whatever they want, and they don't go to the books section. If you Google Amazon Advanced Search, it will come up with this book search box, and it's only for books. And this is where you do your competitive analysis. Now, just for fun, I have sorted the book into romance subject. You see right here at the bottom, I've chosen, you know, one of those 30-40 main categories, and then I've used these keywords. So I want a romance book that has cowboys and aliens in it, right? And on the right, I want to look at all formats. That just means a Kindle book and a print book. All ages, English, all languages, though English will probably pop up. And this is important when you're doing your research, is to make sure that you're looking for current books, because you don't want to be looking at old trends, right? And then you sort the results by best-selling. You can also sort by most relevant or highest rated. But best-selling, I think, is a good place to start. Now, it was funny. I had to laugh at all these, you know, six-pack abs that came popping up here. Yeah, I hadn't expected that. But it seems like if you're writing a book about, a romance book about cowboys and aliens, you should probably have some six-packs on your cover. Right? So this Space Deputy one here, it's kind of out of place, right? Now, so I don't know if the author has really doesn't know where her book belongs, or she has made a mistake with her cover. I love the cover, but if I were looking for, you know, a hunky, hot, steamy romance, I would probably not choose that book. No. So Jenny Schwartz may want to rethink her cover, unless that, but although I have to say it does show up in the best-selling category.
Something worked.
So there's something right about it, but it's interesting to look at these anomalies and find out what's going on. So take notes when you're going through Amazon Advanced Search. And in this next screen, so what you want to look for are the book categories, so where it belongs in that main category and all the subcategories, right? You want to look at the covers. You want to really pay attention to that typography, whether they're using serif and sans serif fonts, or you know, crazy, weird, exciting fonts, or only fonts. You see this Dreamers book. It's a novel, but it's only fonts, right? This watery font is pretty popular now. You'll see it in a lot of books, and it's definitely trending. And I will predict that in a couple of years, this will go out of fashion, right? So you have to look at that. And you can even go and talk to your bookseller in your library about cover trends. You want to look at the book descriptions of the best-selling books, and mimic their descriptions. Is it really cinematic, exciting? Is it authoritative, like if you're doing a self-help book or something? And match the style and the tone. And same with your bio, whether it should be whimsical or authoritative or, just fun or silly. You just do what the bestsellers do, right? Not the super, super, super bestsellers, because the super bestsellers, the big name, they can do whatever they want. You don't want to look at the best bestsellers. You want to look at the medium high sellers and mimic them. Mm-hmm. And also, so many authors, Joellen, they're like, what should I price my book? I'm not going to make any money if I price it at $14.95. And I'm like, well, the market doesn't care. A reader doesn't care how much money you're making. They just care, okay, is it priced like the other books that they want to choose? They have to choose from in that category. If all the books are $4.99, the ebooks are $4.99 to $9.99, and the print books are, $14.99 to $18.99, and you charge $24.99, that's going to be a stopping point for them.
Right.
So you have to make these decisions. Now, when looking at the screen, do you see any kind of trends? Do you see this blue?
Yeah.
This blue color? Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is. Seems very popular. It's the overfade, the overlay is almost always a blue, I guess, I don't know if you can say sepia blue, but it's like it's laid over with a wave color.
Yeah, I thought that was because I was just going through kind of collecting covers for this presentation. And I'm like, wow, this blue color is trending from nonfiction to fiction to children's books, and even in that sort of font, the Dreamers that you see there.
Yeah.
It's all the same tone. So that's a trend, and that's why you have to look at the recent books. And it's also super important to get a cover designer who knows trends, because they might say, well, kind of trending right now is purple, so next year, purple is the new dusky blue.
Maybe. You never know.
Yeah. So I thought that was super interesting. I hadn't noticed that before the other day. So now let's talk about, this is super fun, beta readers, your super fans, and your marketing street team.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you get these? Who are these people? Who are these people who are going to spread the word, who are going to help you, who are going to read your book and comment on it and publish reviews come launch day or pre-order day, right? So this is a stopping point for a lot of authors. And I talk so much about sharing your work, and the time to share is now. You don't have to have a fully edited book. You don't have to even edit it at all. You just want to know if the story is good, if it's compelling, if people are digging it, right? So you don't know that unless you share it. A lot of people go, oh yeah, my mom read it, or my cousins or whatever. But really, you got to share your work. And that means critique partners, and that means beta readers.
Right.
Yeah. So we're going to go over websites.
Tell us, because this is what everyone asks me, where do I find them? And, when you're in book clubs and book groups and you're on forums, then they're naturally there. So, how do you ask? Where are they, and how do you ask?
Where are they? How do you ask? Well, you need to share your work in, you're right, forums and book clubs. You can find critique partners like writing groups, and you can find them in your neighborhood, at your library, at your bookstore. They're always really willing to help you find people, writing group people. There are many, many online writing groups, and all you have to do is Google for them. I mean, there's a whole writing critique group around legal thrillers and, of course, romance, and you just have to use your Google and figure it out. So that's critique partners. And the other level are beta readers and beta publishing. there's a whole bunch of sites where you can share your work. If you're romance or young adult, you'll probably want to be on Wattpad.
Yeah.
There are forums like Reddit. There's Scribd, SCRIBD, for document sharing and sharing stories. You know where I like to publish my early work is to my friends on Facebook. There's this feature called Facebook Notes that I love.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, and it just allows you to, you know, put up an image if you want and a story in, and then you go to your posts and you say, hey, if anybody like to read my thing, here it is, and people can comment, right? Because Facebook allows you to comment, and it's kind of a safe place, you know, because they're all your friends already.
Right.
I'm not going to be mean to you, but you have to be willing to risk response, which can be kind of hard because we're a little bit delicate sometimes around our work because it is so personal, right?
Oh, yeah. It's I mean, we know that from editing. We try to tell them we're going to be honest with you, and you're going to hear the good and the bad, and we're going to give it to you nicely. But it's important to be open to that so that you can really grow. And yeah, Facebook is a fun place to try that. You just have to be willing to accept what you hear.
And if you don't like Facebook, and a lot of people are moving away from Facebook, I only use it as a, you know, marketing platform and a place to, you know, connect with my friends. I don't do any really personal stuff on Facebook, and you shouldn't, because it's not your, you know, it's open. It's an open platform, and it's not owned by you. You know, I love Facebook. I don't have any complaints about it, but some people are diving off Facebook. You can also publish pretty lengthy stories on Instagram. I have not experimented with that, but a lot of Instagram is newer and more popular than Facebook, especially for young authors. You might want to take a look at that to see if your audience is there. It's all about where your audience is, right? And trying to figure that out can be a tough job, but again, just let Google do the walking for you.
Right.
So just, there are a lot of beta tools too. There's beta books and, so many. And you can invite people to beta read, and people who love to read. Now, this is when you're a little bit farther along and you've had critique partners tell you that your story's great. Start sharing it. And you've gotten that initial feedback. Start inviting the public and hanging out and being active and social, and keep asking for feedback. And the people who do give you feedback and who do like your work, the authors I've worked with who really acknowledge their early readers and keep them engaged, and, you know, give them stuff, whether it's more stories or bookmarks or, you know, just whatever you think of that's appropriate to your genre, to keep them engaged, are really succeeding. The other thing your early readers will do is if you set your book up for a pre-order, you can do this for ebooks a year in advance. And so all of your beta readers can review your book right away, even though it's not published. So on launch day, you could have 20, 50, 100, 1,000 reviews, you know, already up, right?
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important, because how do you show that you have any standing and you're not just fly by night? It really, the better you can prepare that, testimonials, reviews, personal, you know, pictures of people with your book, or just pictures of themselves, it brings it to life, is what I've seen.
Well, you know, you're right about that, and that's called social proof. And sure, you can use, you know, Instagram for that. Just ask people to post pictures of them with your book, which is fun. So I've seen that too. And what you also want to do is create, you know, autoresponders and things like that on your website. I'm going to show you how in just a minute, so that you can put an automated system in place so that you can keep reminding them gently to spread the word, to review the book, or
Right.
hey, how you doing? Would you like another story? There's a lot of great things you can do with your email autoresponders. So this is a tough and process, but I gotta say it's so rewarding. Now, I was an early blogger. So in 1995, I had a blog about this motorcycle trip around the United States on a Russian sidecar motorcycle that broke down all the time. And I wrote stories about it, and people would respond immediately, which was really weird because before 1995, somebody would have to write you through your publisher, and maybe you'd get it weeks or months later, right? If your publisher, was conscientious and sent the missive on. But nowadays, you can get immediate engagement, and that energized me so much, and it showed me what stories really touched people by resounding silence. It showed me the ones that weren't working, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So I find beta publishing really, really fun and rewarding. And the authors I've worked with have also, they were nervous at first, but they're finding it a lot of fun. Because it's a lonely life, right? It's a lonely life, the writer's life.
The more community and audience you can build, the more you are inspired for your next book, and it becomes easier and easier. You're only building a foundation for every other book after this first one.
Yeah, and you have fans for life, and it's just up to you to keep them engaged in a way that feels natural to you. There's no formula. I wouldn't go buying those, 50 email templates to keep your audience engaged. Don't do that. You know your audience, and you're the only one who can engage them authentically. So don't throw money at products who promise to do that for you. That's a mistake that I see a lot. So that's good. Don't spend the money, spend the time and the energy. It's a relationship, right? A relationship with one person at a time.
Right.
So now let's talk about influencers, and those can be bloggers. And also what I want to introduce you to the concept of is micro-influencers.
Yep.
So we all know who the influencers are. They're those really famous people that have hundreds of thousands and millions of people following them. Most of us don't have access to those kinds of influencers, right? So, it turns out that actually the influencers who have, 5, 10,000 followers are actually more effective at reaching their audience because they tend to be more targeted and more focused, and they get more engagement. Now, a little bit about me. I do a lot of travel writing, and I write a lot about solo women's motorcycle travel and adventure traveling. And so I am a micro influencer in that realm. So when I blog and I say, hey, there's this really great book by this woman who's ridden a motorcycle through Australia, right? And I love it, and you should buy it. A lot of my followers buy it. I mean, I would say half would buy it, and that's a real boon to that author. And I love helping authors who write in genres that I write in succeed, but I will never risk recommending a bad book to my followers because they trust me. So for nonfiction, it's actually easier to reach these micro influencers and find them than for fiction. Fiction may be a bit of a challenge, but there's always that book blogger, right? Or somebody on Twitter, Instagram, who's a real fan of cowboy alien romance. And, people who are following that person to get book recommendations. And you just might take a little while to find them, but you can find them. So don't give up, just keep trying.
Right.
And the trick with influencers is not to, you know, say, hi, I'm Carla, here's my book, tell everybody.
Right.
Right?
No.
So it takes a while, just like any relationship,
Mm.
to get to know somebody, to gain their respect and interest. And that just means, you know, follow them, comment on what they do, compliment them,
Yeah.
help them spread the word about their book, share their posts. I mean, retweet them and share. People know when their posts are being shared.
Yeah. Yes.
Offer commentary, but don't steal their thunder or take attention away from them to you, right?
No.
Just make sure that it's just always be helpful. And, you know, wait for them to engage you if you can. I mean, you can prod them a little bit, but one day they're going to say, hey, you know, I see that from your Twitter bio that you're an author of cowboy alien romance books. That's cool, you know, and you might start a conversation. And then once that engagement starts happening for a little while,
Mm.
ask then. You say, hey, yeah, would you like it? Or, you know, I've got a new one coming up. Would you
Right.
like, here's a link if you like, you know, just be real careful about that. And again, this takes time. So again, this is lead time. This is up to a year before publication, is to
Yeah.
develop these relationships, or many years actually.
Yeah. Definitely. It's a long time. I mean, you have to consider how long it takes you to write a book and how long, uh, you know, people just, it's not just the writing process. There's so much more. And if you really want to be that author, this is where you need to be walking down. So everything is, you're just,
Mhm.
I hear you.
Well, you know, so many people are just ready to publish. They have the manuscript and they're going, okay, edit it and put it out there, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute.
Oops.
Yeah. Is it a good story?
Mm.
So while we're talking about social media and engagement, I just wanted to remind everyone about the social media rule of thirds. And that is wherever you are. Now, this also applies to parties. You don't go to a dinner party or a cocktail party and just say, "Hey, here's my book. Will you read it? Will you promote it?" You
Right.
talk to people,
Mm.
and so you engage and converse and ask with how they're doing, how people are doing, right? And then you share, hey, guess what I heard? This might be of interest to you. And you start, when you know, your business will come up, your book will come up at some point. People will
Right.
be interested in you if you're not that boring person who comes in talking about yourself and only yourself all the time. And too many people treat social media as a megaphone and not as a one-on-one personal interaction with actual people.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And each platform has its own personality. I always like to say, and I heard this, I don't know who to attribute this to, but it's been said that Twitter's a cocktail party, Facebook's a family reunion, and LinkedIn is a business meeting.
Exactly.
And it's very important to act appropriately in each of these venues. And so in LinkedIn, you shouldn't be, your profile picture shouldn't be that one where, unless you're in the circus business, hanging upside down on a trapeze. It should you should look appropriately businesslike. All right, are you ready for websites?
Oh, so much. You know, this is something everyone needs, and you can't just throw a book onto Amazon and think that you're done. They'll come running too because they have to find you and they want to know
Mm-hmm.
about you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, your website is you central, and it should. It doesn't have to be complicated, and you don't even really have to blog.
Mm.
Does that make you feel better?
I think everyone
I
does.
don't know why. I don't know why, but authors, writers hate to blog. It's weird to me because I love blogging and I think, well, writers love to write, so why wouldn't writers love to write their blogs? What do you think? Do you think it's because you're busy writing your book and you don't want to do anything else? Or I don't know.
I think
Why
it's
is
too
that?
personal. I think it's too personal. People get caught up
Really?
in their book is their baby, and they want to talk about that all day. And they can talk about their kids, which is, the same. But when it comes to putting themselves out there and talking about their thoughts, I think they're scared, What if they don't like
Mm-hmm.
what I think, what I really think? So
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay, so forget blogging. If you love to blog and you want to write a personal essay or commentary on anything, go for it. People will want to hear from you.
Yeah,
And
of course.
but the really important thing is that it be high converting. And what I mean is that it compels people to give you their email address. And that means that on your page, no matter what it looks like, you have to have a way for people to get their email address to you. Okay, so here's an example of a business that uses a book as a lead magnet. And now anybody who wants to buy an engagement ring is going to want this book, The Rookie's Guide to Buying an Engagement Ring.
Mm.
It's free. You just put your email address in there and the return on investment is obvious, right? And this is a business, and being a writer and a self-publisher is a business. So follow the rules of, good business practices. Here's a free ebook from author who is traveling, doing adventure travel with her family.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who wants to travel with their family in a van, it looks like, is going to go, oh, that sounds cool. I want to know how to do that too.
Exactly.
I have a few. I have an email sign-up form for my China Road Motorcycle Diaries. And my book isn't done yet, but people can get stories about riding solo through China on a weird broken down motorcycle, cycle motorcycle. And they do that. I have another one. I live in Baja part-time, and I'm coming to you from Baja right now, and I'm writing a travel guide called the Baja Concepcion Adventure Guide, which is the area where I live. And I get a lot of conversion, that is, people who want this book to give me their email address. And then finally, the self-publishing one,
of course,
is the Consumer's Guide for Self-Publishers. People love this book. I get a lot of email addresses from this. It's really helpful for me to keep track of all the tools and services that are used for self-publishing, and it's great for people, and I really want people to know which ones are not only right for them, but which are the ethical companies and which ones are not, because I also named those companies in this guide too. So these are examples of conversions. Now, I haven't really shown the website behind them because it doesn't really matter. It could almost be just a landing page, right, which is a one-page website. So for those of you who are really struggling to figure out, the whole website thing, you might just use the landing page software that your email provider like ConvertKit or MailChimp provides with their service. And this is a very, very easy way to do it. So the simpler the better. It just really does have to have a newsletter sign up and a freebie, which we call an ethical bribe, right? And it has to funnel, you really ideally want to funnel your the person who gave you the email address into a funnel that ends up with them buying your book. And for that, you should get an autoresponder sequence going, so that automatically when they download your freebie, that for instance, if you download my consumer's guide, you'll get an email that says right away, oh, hey, thanks for downloading it. I hope you enjoy it. If you want to tell me any of your self-publishing problems, let me know now. You could just hit reply, and then a week later, I'm going, well, I hope you liked it. Do you have any questions? And then, you'll get an email a week from me for a long time. And if you stop engaging, that's that's marked in my email software. So all this software does a lot of work for you.
Yeah, so much easier now. So much easier.
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah. So go on the web, and you might want to study this funnel thing. It starts with awareness and then interest. Interest is where they put their email address into your email newsletter software widget that you put on your website. They make a decision to buy and take action to buy, and hey, and then they're your fans, right?
Well, for life.
So that's high converting, right? It's just really a simple thing. It is an email sign up with an ethical bribe. Now, here's an example of a pre-order, right? Now, this author is actually publishing on February 26th, which is a little over a month from now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could set up a pre-order with your book cover and metadata right now and not deliver it until next January 2020.
Wow.
Now imagine, yeah. So imagine that you did that, and all this time you would be gathering beta readers and people who love your stories and books. So instead of just a month or two before you publish, you just casually say, hey, will you review my book now? Right? It's up on Amazon. It's up on Kobo. It's up on Barnes and Noble. And so the thing is that certain platforms will credit you with all those with all the sales also on the day that you launched. So your book could launch to a bestseller on that day by just So consider the pre-order. It's also a really great way to create a deadline and make yourself stick to it, because if you miss a pre-order, Amazon punishes you by not letting you do any pre-orders for a year.
Yeah, that's great though. There's nothing better.
Isn't it? So yeah, so I mean, actually, it would be really great for you to have a great cover by then, but I wouldn't even stress about that. I'd get a decent cover and really start working on the cover, and you can replace the cover without any change in ISBN or anything.
Right. Yeah.
So there you go.
It's so great. I mean, it's just all about making yourself follow the steps. And I mean, having this outline here, having the steps of what you need to be doing, who you need to be contacting, getting those beta readers, it just naturally follows the steps. And to be honest, if you're doing the editing, I mean, we're working in the background. So this is something you should be doing in the meanwhile, because it takes time. It takes time. And you've got to be finding the book designers.
Right, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be social. All that. Okay, so yeah, so there you go. So all this time, so editing does take time. Now, how much okay, maybe you could launch into the differences between line editing, copy editing, and proofreading, and how much time those takes, because that's a little bit hard to understand for most authors.
Right. If you're going to do the content editing, that's the ideal place to start, where you're really doing the overall big picture and you're working on that. And that's, your first draft, or, that you really want to take out. You might have some readers going on, but it's really when you're still piecing it all together. And then you go on from that when you really feel solid with your story, with your timeline, with the different things that are going on. Then you can go ahead and go into the line editing, and the line editing is much quicker. That's when you're really approaching when you think you're going to be publishing, and you don't expect any major huge changes, but you still need to make sure that it all makes sense in not just the grammar, spelling, punctuation, but in the overall perspective of how you've presented it. Does your story flow, and things like that. And then after you think that you're absolutely ready, you've always got the copy edit, which is the final last edit, and that's the quick and easy one. And people want to be there, but 90% of the time they're just not. I don't recommend anyone to start with less than a line edit if they haven't done anything yet. And most people want and need a content edit. They need to look at it structurally. They need to look at it overall, and they want feedback. You know, it's like you said, is it the same reason you go to beta readers? Is it any good? Do you like what I'm saying? Does it make sense? That's what your editor is going to get back to you. So those are really good places to be working. But again, the line edit is the minimum, and your content edit is where you probably want to start. And then even after you do that copy edit, which is the quick last one before you go out, you're going to go into the formatting, and then I still recommend you do the proofreading, because the proofreading is making sure everything laid out correctly and that nothing changed, because sometimes there are weird little magical bugs that just eat things out of your book and things disappear.
It's true. I always tell people that so you should never format your book before you get a copy edit. You should just just put it in Word or something and give it to the editor, and then you format your book, and that could be an InDesign or Pressbooks, or you could give it to somebody to format. But there's somebody, I mean, I've hit the keyboard with my elbow and put in weird stuff.
Yeah, of course.
It just does sneak in. So when the book is printed, you need a proofreader to make sure that your elbow hasn't made some horrible mistake.
Right.
So I guess if you were at the stage where you wanted feedback on your story, you would go, with a critique partner, a writing group, or a content editor, right?
Yes, all three of those. I don't think, you need to be open to what they have to say. You don't have to you don't have to use everyone's opinion, but you do need to be able to defend yourself solidly on why you're making the choices you are. And you need to understand if that makes sense to the readers who aren't out there against you. They're really just trying to understand and partake in your adventure. So yeah, definitely use the beta readers, use the critique and the author or the editor to get as far as you possibly can. And you'll feel better about it.
Right. Now, I also love to use these. I'm a geek. I love the electronic editing programs. I've been using ProWriting 8, and I know for my editor, if I use ProWriting 8 and MasterWriter also, that sort of helps with word choices.
Oh, yeah. There's so many,
it's kind of a thesaurus. And when my editor gets it, she's working at a much higher level than if I just turned it in without using these tools. And I want her to work at that higher level and
absolutely
to have more fun with my story, and not just, telling me to use a better word for sun or hot, right?
Exactly. MasterWriter is a great example. We've been working with them, and they really have a huge, creative, artistic background, which just adds so much more to the writing level than you would ever expect. And it's really fun to see what you can get from there. And it teaches you. All of these tools are helping you develop and grow, and they're not actually doing the work for you, but they're teaching you how to do the work better and better as you grow.
Be a better writer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, most, if not all of the professionals in the publishing arena say that editing should be your number one expense and design number two. So talking about your designer, also just really make sure that your cover designer is skilled in the genre, romantic cowboy alien books, right?
Exactly.
Knows what's going on. I don't know why I picked that. I actually have a friend who writes alien paranormal romance, but I didn't really like the covers. Yeah. I didn't really like the covers as an example in there. They're all too different. So
yeah,
she had a really hard time branding her book, but she's finding some success right now. She figured it out, I think.
Oh, good.
Yeah, took some work. And finally, you know, in these foundational steps, I really, really want you to purchase your own ISBNs. Now, if you live in Canada, they're free. But if you live in the US, they're $295 for a set of 10, and you need those because you own your copyright and you own your book, but you want to own your book data. And if you have made a decision to use a company who forces you to self-publish, that company that forces you to use one of their ISBNs, then they may contractually like own the rights to publish your book for a couple of years. And this can happen with the author solutions companies like Universe, Ex Libris, Author House, and their partners, Balboa Press and Thomas Nelson's self-publishing arm as well. So be really careful if you are using a free, now there are also free ISBNs available, Amazon and Ingram Spark, and everybody gives them to you, but only because people want free ISBNs. But your publisher is going to be Amazon. Now, how do you think a bookstore is going to feel when you ask them to carry your book when it's branded and published by Amazon?
Exactly.
They're not going to feel real good about that. Also, I have known 2 authors who have published with Vanity Press, and they got some interest by an agent and publishing houses. And it turned out that when they looked at the contract, they weren't able to publish the book for another year because of the contract from that Vanity Press. And so they lost the right to, they lost the opportunity to get a traditional publishing deal, which is very, very sad.
Yeah.
So make sure that you don't make these mistakes.
Exactly.
It's tragic. It's really tragic. So there you go. So that's also another expense. And there's a lot about budgeting. It's, you know, I would say $295 in the US is an investment. In Australia, I think it's a little bit less. And if you live in one of the countries where the government issues them, you pay for it basically by paying your taxes. So they're free.
Exactly.
So there you go. Wherever you are in the process, some of you may be done with your book. Some of you may be thinking about writing it. Some of you may have it half done. Hey, November, you may have participated in NaNoWriMo. But you can start right this second. You know, you can, you know, after we're finished, you can start looking around for fans and super fans and beta readers and micro influencers. You can set up a single page author website and sign up for an email newsletter service and put a landing page there that starts collecting emails and trade that email address for a story that you've written or the first book in a series or whatever really great thing you can give them, and make sure it's beautiful, right? Make sure that it's a quality offering that they'll love, and work on that brand. Look at your competitors, look at the category that you're publishing in, and make sure the colors and the typography and everything is expected by readers of that genre. And stay in touch with your community, right? Like, be social. You should be energized by it. If you're really being dragged down on Facebook, leave Facebook, go to Twitter, go to Instagram, right? You should be energized. It shouldn't be hard. It should be fun. I mean, I belong to a forum for motorcycle adventure travelers, and I love going on that forum, and they love me. They buy my books, and it's really, really fun for me to talk to these people and to learn from them and to advise them and just to trade funny stories. Yeah. And yeah, so if don't have that, seek it out. You deserve it. And it's okay. It's January 2019. committing, putting these things on your calendar. You might want to Facebook on Tuesday and Thursday and Twitter on Wednesday and Friday, and
right.
have drafts, have a story a week, or whatever it takes for you to do to make your book happen in 2019. Next month, June, next January, I hope you do it. And I hope this helped. And as you know, Joellen can help as well wherever you are in the writing stage, with content editing to proofreading. It's quite a necessary thing.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I mean, this is a
Yeah.
lot. It really, it is a lot. And I know
Mm-hmm.
people ask us these questions all the time. So it's really great that we can put this in a structured format so they can see it and take notes and really work it off. Well, as you say here, checklists, worksheets, and all the things that they need, because it's very hard to organize it. It's too much. And I know you've been doing a great job on really putting that together in the boot camp, and that's exciting. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot to do, and I've given you a lot of information, and you could just take that and run with it and do it yourself. But I have really loved helping people with my Self-Pub Bootcamp, and thanks, Joellen, for partnering with me to offer a discount on the Publishing Freedom course, which covers all of the stuff on detail. And in the editing section, Joellen takes you through to all of that editing stuff that you need to know. And it's wonderful to have co-teachers in the Freedom course. So let me tell you a little bit about it. Now, this link, bit.ly, short link here, is where you can find it, bit.ly/SPBC. FE, that's for Self-Pub Bootcamp. First editing. Does that make sense?
Of course.
So let me tell you a little bit about it. So it's already $99, and it's one of 6 courses that I offer, and I want to offer it for this amount. And I want to make special offers for this course because it is so foundational, and I really, really want people to start out right. Let me tell you what it entails. It's 6 modules, and it covers in detail all of the things we just discussed. It includes those worksheets and checklists that I told you about, and it includes me talking, and includes other people talking, and includes PDF downloads, and it's not boring is what I want to say. But it keeps you engaged. So it's not just my face talking at you all the time like so many courses are, right? It's only just one person for days and weeks and months just always talking at you. I didn't want that. Plus, there's so much more knowledge out there than what I can give you. Joellen brings editing. Other people bring their things as well. The things that people really love are these checklists and cheat sheets. I mean, I keep creating more and more of them because they're just so useful. And the beta students gave me, and I had a beta students for this course as well, have given me so many more ideas about checklists. And you see, they're pretty extensive, so that you can just print these out, or you can, I offer them also in doc format. So you can put them in Word and play with them yourself and track them like that as well. So you've got tons of those. I update it constantly because things change. So I'm really committed to keeping it updated. And the students help me too in the comments within the course. One of the best things is that it's risk-free, because I don't want you to be unhappy. So there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. You could actually take the whole thing and get your money back, but hope you don't do that if you find it valuable. But you can if it's not for you, and I totally understand if it's not for you at this time. You may want to invest somewhere else right now. This is super fun for me. I hold office hours at least twice a month. If not more, and that's me sitting there, and you all tune in, and we talk about what you need to talk about, and we might have a topic, or it might just be a Q&A. And I love this. I think I learn as much or more as the students learn, the authors learn.
Oh yeah.
There's a private Facebook group, which is so fun. Oh, look, one person wants to join. My self-publishing bootcamp guide for authors is also included, along with the consumer's guide, which you can also get for free right now at selfpubbootcamp.com.
And that
so
is
go grab that now if you want.
But I've been through
yeah.
the bootcamp guide, and you know, this is where, regardless of everything, that was beyond eye-opening. And that's when I thought, oh my gosh, I cannot answer these questions enough for people. We've got to get more people in here, because the magnitude, the size of that book, and the amount of information that comes in there is just, it's just life-changing.
Yeah.
It really is, because there's so much to learn. There's no way to keep up on top of everything, and it's changing constantly. But you need the foundations, and then you got to get up to date. And it's, I mean, this is 4th edition, so obviously, but really, just looking through the table of content will convince you alone. It's huge.
Yeah. It is huge, but there's, you know, I do repeat some information in there because the feedback that I got from the 3rd edition, so yeah, it has been a journey for me, is to split it into parts instead of just chapters. So instead of 40 chapters, there's 40 chapters in 6 parts, so that people can dive in and just to design, or, you know, just to foundational stuff. So I think it's, yeah, of course, I try to make each one better. 5th edition might be out in 2020. We'll see. Probably will be.
It really, I've been talking to authors, and I just tell them, you know, look, if you're self-publishing, this is where to go. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
I appreciate that. Yeah. It's a lot of work.
It is.
I also use curated content from the web, because I know a lot of you are digging around the web, just trying to figure out what voices you can trust. Well, I've grabbed, you know, I have asked Joellen and many other people to create custom content for the course, but I also want to grab the stuff that's already out there and show it to you, so that you can benefit from these other voices as well. This Kevin Kelly 1000 True Fans, everybody should just go off and look at that right now. It's so inspiring and amazing.
Yeah.
Again, guest lectures. And the school I use is a teachable platform. It's 24/7 tech support. You can track your progress. You can use a computer, a mobile device, even your iPhone, your smartphone. Really, really easy to keep track of what's going on there.
Yeah.
You can go, if you go to this link, you'll see a bunch of testimonials. I love these people. Some of these are the ones that help me create the course. I don't create these things just out in a vacuum. The people ask me, they tell me what's important to them.
Yeah.
And beyond the Freedom course, if you need more courses, there are all these, but really the Self-Publishing Freedom Foundational course is the one that I want to push people to start with, because you don't want to distribute your book until you've got your foundation completed, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is great. I mean, again, I've been through them. I've looked at them. And I think the hardest part nowadays is that we are just neurologically overloaded with so much from Google and Amazon, and it just feels overwhelming to have somebody hold your hand and to get you through this process. It's really can lower your energy levels, and
it can. And you know, I love courses. I have taken several business courses myself, and I've learned from them, and it does help people it does help to have someone hold your hand through things. I took a course on creating courses, actually, Joellen, and it's hilarious because I was like, how do I create a course out of this huge book? Yeah. And there's an art to it. There's a way to present it so that people can follow it really easily. So that was really valuable for me. Yeah. So let me just show you quickly how to grab it. Okay, just go to this link. They want you to choose the course. the Freedom course or whatever course you want. And then it just takes you through the order summary, really just like anything you purchased on the web in a secure platform. The code is first editing 20, as in 20%. And it will knock that $99 down to $79.20. You can pay with PayPal or your credit card, whatever is easiest. And remember, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. And you can talk to me at any time. So, and you're in. You just log in and you're in. And you can start taking the courses right away, really. And I'd love it if when you start, you just make a comment below. Below every lesson is a comment. So I know that you're getting what you needed, and you can tell me that you got in through this webinar right now. So thanks for listening. And really, if you have any questions, just email me at hello@selfpubbootcamp.com. I'd be super happy to talk to you about whether you need that, or maybe you need another course, or maybe you just need my book. Who knows? I won't know until you talk to me. So don't hesitate to talk to me, and I'm sure Joellen can help you as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Carla. This is so fantastic. It was a lot, you know, and sometimes you think, oh, it's
I know it is a lot.
Really, there's just so many fine details, and it is reassuring to see, okay, and even if you've been through the process, to know, okay, you're not missing anything. Those little checklists, just again, take your worries away so that you know that you've done it right, and you can publish and market without concern. It's the same as using an editor, and that, so it's just, you need to do it so that everyone sees a professional presentation from start to finish and then succeed.
It's true, and it should be fun. It's so much more fun this way as well.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad we got to join up today and share a little bit more. We'll be working together. At the end of this, I'm going to add, Carla's also done a nice short blog post for us, so we'll include that as one of the links here so that you can also visit there, but reach out to her, give her a phone call, or give her an email, and make sure you use that code and take advantage of it. It's a new year. It's a time to succeed. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Glad to help. Thank you, Joellen. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for joining us today, all the way from Baja, Mexico.
From Baja, yeah. Woo, sunshine.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.